Yeah, exactly. And then you end up following the script and you end up led astray instead of finding your true enlightenment, which now there again, as we start to look at that picture, and that brings all kinds of thoughts to people's head when we talk about the light of Masonry. Are you so certain that you are not member of something dark, something satanic? What assures you that you have not signed your soul away?
Well, I mean, in the end of the day, we all have to ask ourselves that same question. You know, we spoke about the Egyptian rite earlier, and you know, the big thing about the afterlife for the Egyptians is that when you were brought before the Hall of Souls or whatever, the judgment, there's Thoth or Set or Anubis or whoever it is who weighs your heart on the scale, right? It weighs your heart. If it's as light as a feather, then you're good to go on to the Western lands. But if it's heavy, weighed down with sin, then the demons devour you, you know? And we're all posed with that question at the end of the day. Where is our heart? What are our motives? I can only speak from my own intentions. And I understand the concern of the question, but I honestly believe the concern is born out of misinformation. And I believe that only those who would go into a thing with the intention of that are going to be led down that road. But there are those who are going to be misled, of course. But in the end of the day, we have to all look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, where are our intentions and where are our motives? And that's all I can go with. So of that, I have to say I am certain. I am certain. And I do believe in the system of traditional life structure and esoteric mystery tradition. I also wanted to take a moment and mention a few books that I wanted to put out there, books that might bring clarity to the subject of Freemasonry to the listeners out there.
Fantastic.
Okay, one of the books is called The Founding Fathers and Secret Societies, and the subtitle is Freemasons, Illuminati, Rosicrucians, and the Decoding of the Great Seal. And that's written by Robert Hieronymus, 2006. Then there's the two books that you mentioned, Hiram's Key and The Second Messiah. Both those books, that's the kind of Freemasonry I'm talking about. Those guys, I really resonate with those guys. I really think they are onto something. So
I like them a lot.
I think they should be looked at closely. Then there's The Meaning of Masonry by a professor from Oxford, Walter Leslie Wilmshurst, 1927. This book is the best book talking about deep and spiritual masonry as opposed to superficial masonry, the masonry of just the boys club. I highly recommend this book to anyone who honestly wants to take a look at masonry with an open mind. Another book, a couple books, are The Lost Keys of Freemasonry and The Secret Destiny of America by Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall is an excellent writer. Much of what he said spoke to me as an individual seeker, but he is the guy that uttered those Luciferian terms right there in the secret tradition, and I believe he says it again in The Lost Keys of Freemasonry.
It's true, but I also know that Manly P. Hall was never officially a Freemason, never did take the rituals, and actually was given an honorary 33rd degree just because of the amount of information he had about the esoteric arts.
Yeah, and he was like a young man in his 20s when he first wrote that. He's a phenomenon. And there's a lot of weird, you probably have already heard, you probably looked into this, about the circumstances surrounding his death. And I think you already know some of that stuff. But also, but those books, The Secret Destiny of America, excellent read. It puts a lot of what was discussed about America and Freemasonry in perspective, in a different perspective.
Well, you know, one thing I got to interrupt one more time. The one thing I found most intriguing about The Secret Destiny of America was Chapter 2, Akhenaten, the man who was born 2,000 years before his time.
Yes, yes.
My own little chapter.
Yeah. And you're right. That, and is it Chapter 2 also that speaks about Solon and Plato's Atlantis myth? And it's just a fascinating read. There's so much there, and it ties right into a lot of the Columbia mythos you talk about and the corporate symbolism. I mean, it's all there.
And on that note, I have just uploaded Columbia to YouTube for the first time, my anti-Illuminati spell. Check it out. Thank you, Frater X, and thank you all for tuning in. I know we didn't cover even top of it, so you're going to get much more Frater X coming up. So stay tuned to FreemanTV.com, because I'll keep you updated as to where and what I'm doing.
Every day you hear the news. As an American citizen, I'm sure you're concerned. You may even feel like you have no control. Of course, you can't control things like natural disasters or the real estate meltdown,